In the context of the 2026 FIFA World Cup expected to attract millions of visitors to the United States, Mexico, and Canada, authorities and experts are warning about risks associated with human trafficking, particularly in border regions such as San Diego, Tijuana. What strategy is the San Diego County District Attorney's Office implementing to prevent human trafficking during the 2026 World Cup?
San Diego County has a well-established task force, a human trafficking task force that has all of law enforcement, the DA's office, the U.S. Attorney. It has federal, state, and local officers that are trained and work 24/7, so it is an active task force. And we monitor and, of course, put more resources whenever there is a big event like FIFA that's happening. And while the FIFA official games are not happening in San Diego, we have a few of the pre-game celebrations that are going to be taking place at Snapdragon. And I am proud to say that Snapdragon Stadium and our local San Diego Football Club, who's organizing these activities, they are well aware of the risks of human trafficking and are very cooperative with the DA's office and our task force to make sure that our games are safe for everyone and that everyone's human rights are respected. As to the rest of the FIFA that's happening around the world, I have to say that I continue to be disappointed that there is not a clear plan and a prioritization of preventing human trafficking. It's something that we've asked for as international human rights organizations, because the evidence is absolutely clear that these big events, when they've happened with over 65,000 people in each game, bring sex trafficking and they bring labor trafficking. We saw in the 2022 Qatar World Cup that over 500,000 migrants were used to build the whole infrastructure around these games, and there's well-documented abuses of their rights and exploitation of their labor. And since that time, we have been asking as world organizations that want to prioritize human trafficking to have a well-outlined plan. I haven't seen that well-outlined plan yet.
Are there historical data in San Diego regarding human trafficking during large-scale events or peak tourism periods?
We do see that human trafficking arrests increase. The measurement is difficult to determine because whenever we have a big event, we put specific resources, undercover officers that are there. We are looking at the internet to see if young girls are being brought from another area or from our local region, recruited for the purpose of providing entertainment, which is really slavery, to these games. So because we put so much focus on it, we come out with higher arrests. The latest example was when we had Comic-Con recently. We had multiple arrests of people that were trying to buy, even though we warned that we will be there, we will watch you, we're going to monitor, you're going to be arrested. There were still people doing it, and they were arrested and prosecuted. And so we do see an increase. You know, the studies show that it really is not about the game itself. It's about any time that you have a very large large gathering of especially men who are the number one buyers of sex trafficking, you may end up with an increase in sex trafficking. And when you need more labor all of a sudden, you very much may have an increase in labor trafficking in order to build the infrastructure around the games.
How does your office coordinate with federal agencies in the United States and Mexico?
For San Diego County, this has been a priority for me. So instead of waiting until we have a big event, we have a full-time human trafficking task force that includes federal, state, and local agencies, and we're constantly coordinating with international partners, national partners, the FBI, all of the different law enforcement agencies, so that we are all coordinated and working together. It's a big mistake to wait until you have a big event and then try to establish something, because it takes a lot of expertise, resources, dedication. So we have already this built-in structure, but when we have a big event that's going to happen, we then bring in and refresh the understanding of all our line police officers, patrols, so that they're on guard, they know what to look for and when to call the task force. Another really special thing about San Diego is recently we renewed a binational agreement that I have with the Mexican consulate. With the ambassador for the Mexican consulate, we re-signed that agreement, and it's because of the understanding that victims of human trafficking, special victims of domestic violence, they cross on both sides of the border every day, and especially if there are special events. And so we already have this agreement and trust in place so that we can safeguard our victims no matter what side of the border they're on. And we do that through our family justice centers, where victims can receive care that is culturally competent in their language. And we can do that on both this side, where we have a family justice center, and also on the Mexico side, where there is one in Tijuana that we work very directly with.
What is the biggest challenge the district attorney's office anticipates during this global event?
The biggest challenge is that there is not, as far as when I look at the FIFA games, there does not seem to be a very clear document that everyone is abiding by, where there's a human rights, a human trafficking agreement, where there's what's called transparency in the chain, so that everybody that's involved, whether it's to bring in food, to build the structures, to help ticket people and bring them in, all of that should be controlled, where labor rights are respected, migrants aren't threatened with their documentation brought in to satisfy the needs of where FIFA is happening with very high profits at 65,000 people per game. A clear coordination and a document doesn't exist. But the good thing is it's very clear that around the United States, at least, where we have more control, human trafficking is a priority, and we do see area by area that the DA's office is coordinating with the different partners to make sure that there is accountability and there is safety. One of the key intersection elements are hotels and motels, because you have very high tourism, people coming in using hotels and motels. And one thing we've done in San Diego is to have a very clear campaign to educate all of our hotels and motels on what signs to look for, and to be able to detect and call our task force if they see signs of trafficking. And that effort is being done around the United States, maybe not at the same intensity and maximum level that we're doing it here, but they are doing it around the United States.
What warning signs should the public look for to identify potential trafficking cases during the event?
One of the things to look for is where your instincts, two people don't fit. An older male that's dressed for the weather, for the conditions, and with a younger child or teenager or young adult that doesn't look like they're dressed for the weather, for the conditions. People checking into the hotel, but the older male has their suitcase. The young person with them doesn't have anything, or they have like a trash bag or a duffel bag. It's subtle signs. It's not looking for very visible chains or bruising, because the traffickers and the buyers know better than to have those visible signs. It's subtleties. It's the fact that, in my experience, our victims of human trafficking, they don't know what day it is or what time. So when the hotel clerks are asking them, is it, a good Sunday, or they're not really aware of orientation of time and day, because they're usually moved from area to area to meet the demands of the big event that's happening, like a World Cup game, where there are just a huge amount of men that are seeking entertainment, unfortunately, and they claim that they don't understand that this isn't entertainment. Buying a human being for sex is a crime, and it fuels human trafficking. And it produces millions and billions of dollars around the world. And so they have to take responsibility that this isn't entertainment, that this is a crime, a violation of the law. That's how we treat it here in San Diego. And hopefully that's how it's treated everywhere.
How can residents or visitors report suspected cases, especially in a binational context?
They can call, obviously, if it looks like an emergency, you should call 911. I want to make sure that everybody understands that there is not a crime if you call law enforcement and it turns out that it isn't a criminal incident. You're only in trouble if you're making up information, you're lying about information. But if you're just describing what you're seeing and that you're concerned about it, somebody's shoving, pushing somebody into a room, you hear sounds of violence, you hear someone that's crying or upset. If a room service comes in, they see a whole bunch of condoms, they see conditions that appear to be sex trafficking conditions, they see a younger person, you call 911. But if you're not sure, you can call the human trafficking hotline, and at 888-3737-888, or you can text to Be Free, BEFREE, and you're able to. That's the national hotline that then connects with the local task forces.
Would you like to add something else?
Human trafficking is a global and a local problem, and it has the elements of labor trafficking, where labor is exploited. It also has the element of sex trafficking, where especially young girls, but also boys, are exploited and sold in sex. When you have a big event like a World Cup or anything else, it's not about the game. The game is a beautiful thing with competition that everybody should enjoy. Unfortunately, there is this vulnerable part of our population of young people used in sex trafficking, and migrants especially used in labor trafficking. And that is where we need to all come in as a community and safeguard that and demand that the games be about the competition, the fun, the honest play, but it should not be about anyone getting entertainment out of somebody else's pain.